Hello, I'm David DeCosmo. Welcome to ECTV Live. And as it happens, one of our highlight programs of the year, Joanne Arduino joins us to talk about one of the greatest Christmas presents that this area gets every year just after Christmas. And that's the presentation of the Nutcracker. Joanne is with the Scranton Ballet Theater. And Joanne, the dates, again, I know that they're always the same, but we can't expect everybody to remember.
They are. We are always December 26th, 27th, and 28th at 2 o'clock and 7:30 p.m. each day. It is a free performance, and this is our 44th year. 44th.
Wow. What a tremendous record. We usually talk about the history, and I want to, but I want to highlight the fact that there is one major change this year.
There is a major change.
People have to be aware of this, and that is the venue.
Correct. Yes, it's a big change for us. We're excited. I mean, change is always hard, but change is necessary. And we had a wonderful time with Marywood University for 43 years. But over the course of the last 3 to 4 years, we've been partnering with the Theater at North, which is Goodwill Industries of Northeastern Pennsylvania. And we do 5 performances in the spring, and we do all of those at the Theater at North. So it has truly become our home. And so we have decided to move all of our performances to one venue, and our official home is the Theater at North. And they have been wonderful to us. And it's really a perfect partnership because Goodwill Industries of Northeastern Pennsylvania, their mission is to service the community.
Right.
And I mean, the location is perfect.
Well, this is a former school that Goodwill has converted into a housing complex, but they preserved and I gather renovated the auditorium into a major theater complex.
Well, it was a theater always, but they did the renovations. They kept it historically correct, but it is not. If you think you're going to a high school theater, it is not your typical. It is a beautiful, state-of-the-art theater. They put, I mean, they had a lot of funding, governmental funding, private funding, and they have really done a beautiful job of bringing that theater back to life.
Now, a couple of questions that evolved from that change. First of all, what is your seating versus what it was?
Our seating is about 200 less per performance, which isn't terrible. Mm-hmm. And the stage dimensions are basically the same. The theater has a more intimate, the proscenium of the theater, it has an apron that comes out, and so you're closer to the audience. It's not as high, so there's a more intimate feeling to it. So choreographically, I've changed some things to accommodate that, so I think the audience might feel more part of the production. I have some things coming, some people entering through the audience. I keep thinking I have the mice from the battle scene coming into the audience, and I tell them, because a lot of these girls are younger, maybe they're 14 years old, and they don't remember Cats, which I know is coming out in the movies
yes,
soon.
Yes, that's true.
But when you went to the theater at Cats, those cats came through the aisles, and their green eyes lit up and looked at you, so I always use that comparison for them. So the mice will be coming into the audience, and I think the children will get a thrill out of that. And they'll be crawling up onto the stage then. And some other people, we have a dragon, a Chinese dragon that is in our second act variations, Tea from China, and that dragon will make its way through the audience. So I think the audience will feel more part of it.
Yeah, you get really into it when the action is not
right
only
next
on
to you.
Stage, but to your right or to your left.
Absolutely.
As well. You had, at Marywood, you had a ticketing system that was unique. Has that carried over? How does that work? It has.
Ticketing is exactly the same. You need to be at the theater, which is the Theater at North. It's at the top of Greenridge Street, where it meets North Main Avenue in Scranton. And you go to the box office 2 hours prior to the performance, the specific performance you want to attend, and you can get your free tickets. They are reserved seats, but you need to get your tickets in advance. The nice thing about that theater is it's a good and a bad thing. We have lines of people who wait for tickets, and it's all enclosed, so you will be inside. Nobody will have to wait outside so much in the cold, which is really a very positive.
Yeah, that was one of the downsides of Marywood, because I remember waiting one time.
Oh, it's cold.
Yeah.
And the lines are long, so this is good because there's an ample room inside before you get to the box office. So they have a wonderful system of preparing the public and waiting in the warmth. There's also, if anybody is interested, if you want to be a Nutcracker benefactor, because we do this as a gift to the community, there are perks for that, and you can contact Ballet Theater for that. You can get seats in advance for a donation.
I see.
That is another opportunity.
All right. Well, we're going to remind all of you about getting your tickets for the Nutcracker, and being that there are a few less seats, and granted not an awful lot less, but maybe that's a little more impetus for you to make sure you get there and get your tickets. So we'll remind you before the end of the program exactly how that happens. Now we'll back up to the start of this, because as Joanne said, this has been literally a gift to the community for now 44 years. So it started with your predecessor at the Scranton Ballet Theater.
Yes, the late Constance Reynolds, who was the grande dame of ballet in Scranton. And Mrs. Reynolds was from Edinburgh, Scotland, and she came here in the, I want to say, late 30s, early 40s. And she actually started just teaching in her basement. She lived in Moscow, and then she moved to the YMCA, and her classes built as people found out about her. And when she founded Ballet Theater, it was in 1958. And so she really built a ballet company during that period of time. And so in 1976, she thought she had trained enough dancers that were of the caliber that could perform full-length ballets. And she decided that she wanted to give something back, because she always felt that the people of Scranton were very, very friendly to her and welcoming to her. So, of course, her love was ballet, and so she thought the best time of year to give a gift back is the holiday season. And the gift you give when you're a ballet dancer is the Nutcracker.
The Nutcracker.
And
it is the classic.
It is, and really every ballet company in the world that performs Nutcracker does it as their major fundraiser. So this is very unique to our area, and people come from a 60-mile radius to see this production.
And I can see why that would be the ideal ballet, because the nature of the story appeals to all ages.
Yes, and it's not a fuddy-duddy kind of ballet. I mean, some people get turned off by ballet and opera and things like that because they think they can't relate to it. And that's really not true. They just need to be educated in it.
Sure.
But this is an easy ballet to follow. So if you're coming to a ballet for the first time, the story is it's a perfect ballet to start with. And it's all about giving and love, and there's lots of festivities, so it's a perfect ballet.
Now, I want to point out, because there's been a lot of media attention, including social media lately, to some of the other things that your group is involved in, because our spotlight always focuses on the Nutcracker, and rightfully so.
Right.
But you're there year-round with all kinds of things that are going on. Most, of course, during the holiday season. You just had several events take place.
Yes, and I know we brought our wooden soldier, I say hats. I'm sure they look like towers to me. When you put them on your head, I mean, I'm short, so when I put them on my head, I feel very tall. But we do, since the beginning of the Santa Parade in Scranton, which is, I think, I may be wrong, I think it was 92. We've been in every performance of that, opening the parade, which is broadcast by WNEP.
Right. Mm-hmm.
We do, for as many years as I can remember, the Northeastern Pennsylvania Philharmonic. We bring our soldiers. We also bring our jingle girls, and at times other different variations we do with the orchestra. We do the Times Tower lighting, because they're also, besides NEP, they're one of our media sponsors. So we help them light that tower. So we keep busy, especially at the holidays. We are very involved in the community because we believe it's important to support the community. And if you want the community to support you, you know, it works both ways.
Sure, certainly.
So, but the holidays are busy for us, but the spring is busy for us too. We do full-length ballets. We have a children's company that does a full-length ballet. We have a school that does 3 recitals. So we keep busy.
And those are also at Theater at North?
All at the Theater at North.
So again,
that is our home.
It's really a home. You kind of moved to do the other, but now everything will be
Everything's in one
consolidated
place.
there. For those who haven't seen the Nutcracker, I want to go over the basic storyline. But let me say before we do that that this is not a performance where 4 dancers are on stage. This is the closest thing I can think of to that old movie term, a cast of thousands. It's not quite thousands, but
There's 150 performers.
well, that's pretty impressive.
Well, we have 6 performances, plus we do 2 educational performances. We bring in
Yes.
a few thousand school children. And so, you know, the cast, it gets tiring. So we have 2 casts, so that makes...
2 full casts.
Not full.
Well,
some of them are
your prime dancers and such.
Right. So, but I mean, we don't scrimp. I mean, it is a free performance, but it is only free in the sense of the word that it is a gift. It is top-notch lighting and scenery and costumes. So.
You have related in the past, but it's certainly worth repeating, about how that technology has evolved. And I'm thinking of the tree from the start of the presentation 44 years ago
yes.
to what you do now. Would you mind just...
No, it's really a cute story. Mrs. Reynolds, our founder, when we did the first production, we had no money. And so there was a tabletop Christmas tree. And Mrs. Reynolds, in her wonderful Scottish brogue, went out to the audience prior to the curtain and said, "Now, I would like you to imagine when the lights flicker that this little Christmas tree grows through the ceiling." And so it was cute. And I mean, how it's evolved through the years is something. Then we had another tree, and it's all usually volunteers that help do this. They built a tree that was wonderful, but you had to crank it. It was a ladder behind it, and you had to crank it. And so one of the drawbacks was that was you could hear the cranking.
Oh, yes.
So we'd say, "Push the music, push the sound." But now we have a really state-of-the-art tree that is remote controlled. And as soon as a certain part of the music happens, the control is pushed and it grows according to the music.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that people in the audience don't really, they notice it, but I don't know if they know what goes into it. The fact that you have to be so tied with the music. It really is so key that certain actions have to happen on certain beats or certain choruses or what have you. So that's obviously part of the training.
Yeah, and I mean the technical part of the show is just as choreographed as the dancers themselves.
Yeah.
So it all works together. That's what makes for a good performance.
And we see 150 people on stage? Or does that include your behind the scenes miracle workers as well?
No, that doesn't include them.
That's a
Between
separate
costumes,
crew.
props, lighting, sound, stage manager, that's separate. They're all separate. Stage crew.
It's amazing. And when the key performers, whether it be this or I've been, just recently went to a particular high school to see a production of Mamma Mia.
Oh, nice.
And what a wonderful job these people do. I am so impressed with the caliber of talent that we have.
I agree.
And when the performers come out at the end and take their bows, in that particular high school presentation, the last group that came out was the group they brought out from behind the scenes to take a bow too. And they are every bit as talented in their own way.
And as important.
Because it's all got to fit
That's
together.
absolutely
It's
right.
all got to fit together.
And you're right about the talent. I mean, some people, the old saying or thought was you had to leave the area to find good talent, but that is not the case. And we have a lot of talented individuals who have come from here who have gone on to professional careers.
You've had some that have gone on to the Rockettes, I know.
Yes, one of our best dancers, Karen Keeler, is the creative director for Radio City Rockettes.
Isn't that amazing? What
Yeah,
I talk about?
and a nice, kind person.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best. But yeah, we have a lot of guys, girls and guys, that have gone on and done national tours for Broadway. We have a girl, Jennifer Cadden, who's from Scranton originally, who dances at the Metropolitan Opera.
Wow.
Yeah.
You talk about success stories right from our own backyard. I promised we would sort of review the storyline just a little bit.
Sure.
For those of you that have not seen the Nutcracker, don't know too much about it, it is, as Joanne said earlier in our program, it's a very easy story to follow. It's a very neat story, and one that the young folks are especially going to enjoy, I think.
Yes. Well, it's the story of a little girl, Clara, and her godfather, Drosselmeyer, who's a toy maker and a magician. He presents her with a nutcracker. She and her brother fight over that nutcracker somewhat because he's a little jealous, and he breaks the nutcracker. In the meantime, he got a little mouse as his gift, and he wasn't quite happy with that. So Drosselmeyer repairs the nutcracker, but Clara goes to sleep that evening, and she has a dream. And in her dream, everything is larger than life. The tree grows. That's why we have the growing Christmas tree to 20 feet it goes.
Wow.
And then there's a larger than life mouse king, and the nutcracker prince comes to life, and they have a ferocious battle. And at the end, she saves the nutcracker prince. It's her act of love that he was going to be killed by the Mouse King, but she distracts the Mouse King so that the Nutcracker Prince is saved, and he turns into a human, handsome prince. And in his gratitude, he takes her on a journey. He takes her to the kingdom, the land of the snow, and he takes her to the kingdom of the sweets, where they meet the Sugar Plum Fairy. And there, dancers from all different cultures perform in her honor. And at the end, you don't know if it was a dream or if it was real. There's many different takes on the end of that production.
And the music?
Tchaikovsky, very famous. You hear it all over the television on these days.
Yes, sometimes you might hear bits and pieces of it. You don't really realize that it's from the Nutcracker Ballet.
Right. But many different companies have different ways they transport Clara through those lands. And I know Boston Ballet does it in a hot air balloon. We always have done it on a larger than life-size angel that's remote controlled, and she travels with, she takes Clara to those different lands. New York City Ballet has a flying sleigh. So there's all different ways that people, there's specific choreography for certain pieces in the ballet that are traditional, but there's a lot of artistic license to be had for many of the others.
Well, some of that, of course, is dictated by the space you've got to work with, too.
That, the dancers that you have, the caliber of dancers you have. And I mean, you said something about high school. The caliber of performer in high school musicals, in dance, it has really risen. They are actually at the end of the show, you forget that they're high school students. While you're watching the show and you look at them, and when they come out of costume, you say, oh my goodness, she's only 16 years old, she's only 17 years old,
Yeah. And I think what's really impressive about that is you get a lot of attention to, you just had Southern Columbia High School, you had Wyoming area get state championships
athletics
in football. The Dallas Mountaineers came in with a silver medal. So really high caliber high school athletes.
Yeah.
And they tend to get more of the attention because of the drama of football and the focus on sports and things. And yet in these other areas, including academics, there are some real outstanding, just as important, perhaps even more important in the long range sense of where you're going with your life. And as you say, some of your proteges have gone on to New York City.
Yeah.
So great.
And I always say that everybody has a talent. It's just, some people might be talented in piano, some people in athletics, some people in dance. Everybody has their talent, and they're all to be equally applauded.
Sure. It must be very competitive, though, as you do this each year, as to who's going to do various roles, because, again, the various roles are taxing in their own particular ways.
Yes. Well, our two lead roles, there's a Sugar Plum and a Cavalier that are the lead in the ballet besides Clara. And those are dancers that are older dancers. And now, let's see, we have Jerrica Tallow, who is a Sugar Plum Fairy for us. She has been a Sugar Plum Fairy for us quite a few times. She'll chuckle if she hears this. She's probably going to be 30 years old, but she's a beautiful dancer and has much experience. Her partner is Matt Linnedy, who is an alum from Ballet Theater and from Clark Summit, but he dances professionally in New York City.
Oh, wow.
Our other Sugar Plum Fairy is just graduated from high school last year, beautiful dancer, and she is now interning with the Charlotte Ballet. And she's coming back. She was one of our dancers. She's coming back to perform, and she's bringing her partner, who didn't dance with us, but got to be friendly with us because he came last year with her, and he is dancing with the Alabama Ballet.
Wow. On the other roles, and there are some key roles, obviously a lot of key roles, do you have to audition every year?
Yes. Every dancer auditions for the roles. And we always say it doesn't matter, like in school, if you're in first grade, second grade, third grade, whatever level class they're in, it doesn't necessarily mean that they will all dance together. We place people where they're best suited and where their level is. Because, you know, we say it's typecasting. In Swan Lake, for example, there's a very famous piece where four dancers, shorter dancers, they're called the cygnets, the baby swans, dance with their hands connected the whole dance. And so when you look for those four dancers, you have to make sure they're four dancers of the same height, the same build. So there are types that you need to get as well. I mean, you can't have like one tall dancer and three small dancers, and you know, so there's a lot of things you have to look for when you're casting.
Well, what is the lower end of your age range for Nutcracker?
The youngest, the first year in Nutcracker, they are 9 years old.
Wow.
And they do, like, there's a big woman, a big piece of scenery with a woman sitting atop called Mother Ginger.
Oh, she seems to have the big skirt.
And she has the huge skirt, and all the little babies
yeah,
come out.
yeah.
And so that's where our 9-year-olds go. But our oldest performer is probably in her 50s.
Wow.
Because in the party scene, there are guests, and there are parents, and they are actors and dancers. So it is a very wide range.
Now, of course, dancers, as your age range increases, they're still nonetheless in extremely good physical condition because dance tends to do that.
Yes, but a dancer's life for performing is very short.
Is it really?
Yes, I mean, your body can only take so much. Now, I mean, a woman who just, excuse me, a woman who just passed, now, you know what, isn't it funny? My brain is not thinking of her name. She was very famous in South America, and she just passed, and she danced into her 70s.
Wow. Wow.
But that isn't the norm.
Yeah, yeah. The performances that I've seen of Nutcracker with the Scranton Ballet, and I've seen a few others as well, you're right there with all the most talented that I've been able to see. And so I want the audience and the potential audience to know this, that you're not coming to see you know, a presentation that's kind of thrown together. This is tightly knit choreography. Again, the work behind the scenes is so well done that this is something it's the closest thing you're going to see to this would be to go to New York City, where if you did, it would not be a gift to the community.
Correct. And that's what I know our founder, that was besides her wanting to give back, she wanted to give back because she wanted more people to be able to experience the art of ballet and to go to live performance. And a lot of times, if you go to New York, the cost of tickets there are so expensive. If you have a family of even two, if a family of 2 children and 2 adults, it's very expensive to travel in and out.
Yeah, yeah.
So this makes it affordable for everyone to go.
This is your opportunity to see extremely high caliber artwork right in our own backyard. And again, we're going to repeat to you so you know just exactly when this is going to be, the fact that it is free to you. It's right after Christmas, which is ideal because normally you get a little bit of break before you have to go back to work or back to school, and yet the hectic pace of the Christmas day itself is over at that point. So Joanne, once more, the dates, the times, and the procedure for getting these free tickets.
Surely. It's December 26th, 27th, and 28th at 2 and 7:30 p.m. each day. Tickets are free. It is at the Theater at North, which is at the jointure of North Main Avenue and Greenridge Street in Scranton. It's at the top of the hill. You can't miss it.
Right.
And you should get there for the specific performance 2 hours before at the box office at the Theater at North to get free tickets.
Now you get your tickets then, and then 2 hours later come back, you'll have your ticket ready, and you go to a particular seat because they are reserved.
Yes.
Right. But again, there's no cost to you to do this. Now, nonetheless, it's not a free presentation in terms of the production.
Not at all.
So how can they help out those who might want to in terms of helping make it free to everybody?
Well, that would be great. Well, at the performance, we do a goodwill offering. So during intermission and at the end, we have performers and toy soldiers that have baskets that you can donate. We offer, we welcome any donation of any kind. It's appreciated. Or if you want to be a Nutcracker benefactor, you can visit us at Ballet Theater. That's BalletTheatre.com. And or balletscranton.org, and you can make a donation. There's benefactors, and for that donation, you get a few reserved seats.
Great. Joanna Arduino, thank you so much.
Thank you, David.
So great to have you every year here, because this is a wonderful gift to the community. Please take advantage of this opportunity. It's you will not regret that time spent. Mark McGlory, thank you for keeping us in focus as always behind the camera. I'm David DeCosmo for ECTV Live. Till we see you again next time, here's hoping all your news is good.